EA Sports, it's in the game. Or so some of the old games used to say. I never quite got this. I didn't know what they really meant. I presume that they meant that EA Sports games had great playability, a certain je ne sais quoi, a special quality which defines explanation. I never really got this though myself. Sure, from time to time I'd enjoy an EA Sports title, but most of the time I saw them as being a celebration of style over substance. It was less about what was really in the game and what they could put around the gameplay, what they could add to the presentation, what would make the game seem like the A-star football game or A-star American football experience. This might seem a slightly strange way to start this review when I tell you the game I've been playing is ESPN Speedworld, and that the game was made by a company called Park Place Productions and was published by Sony. You should see what I mean with the rest of this review though. The game was released in 1994 exclusively for North America, as it was based on a TV series of the same name that was shown over there. The game has an official ESPN license, but despite being about racing, Sony didn't game a NASCAR license, so you're racing NASCAR Winston Cup stock cars, but the real-life drivers' names and likenesses are not here. At the start of the race though, you're met with some digitised footage of ESPN sports broadcaster Dr. Jerry Punch, who I'm sure back in the day looked and sounded amazing, but to my eyes now it looks, well, it's old poor digitised stuff. It hasn't aged well. Everything seems to be there, the tracks, the cars, the commentary. It's only when you start driving that you realise something's really wrong. You don't feel like you're in control of a car at all, you feel like you're in control of a skidding line. Sure, with some practice you can start to score wins, but it never feels fun. It feels like a chore from start to end. I've literally had more fun on racing games on the 48K Spectrum than on this game. This is where you start to realise that people back then surely realised this game was a pile of trash much quicker if they didn't have any link to the licence, and if it didn't have the fancy digitised speech and graphics glued on. Strip all of this away and it's basically a mess. It is a real lesson in how video games companies try to polish turds with licenses and a bit of fancy presentation. There's no sense of real speed, there's no real sense of action, it feels like you crawl around the track. Looking at it and not playing it, it probably looks quite decent, but it really isn't. I spent £5 on this game, and that's including postage. I basically brought it because I was looking for cheap games I hadn't played or really heard of before, and I figured I'd take a shot with this game, and in all honesty I regret it. If you want to try this game either because you don't believe me or you like bad games, there are a few important things to consider. The first is that it was only released in the USA, so you'll either need an NTSC machine, a modified machine or an import converter. And the second is that if you're in England like I am, you're likely going to have to import it from America. This means that even if you can get it cheap, there's going to be a fair bit of postage. It might be a pain in the butt, you know, with weight and the larger risk of it getting lost in transit, or you trying to be charged some import tax on it. And I'd really recommend that you don't bother, as I'd only give this game a 3 out of 10 at best. It's certainly one of the worst ones I've played in my 150 SNES review series.